Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Big hour, Gerry's percentages at 5:30. Kevin Harlan coming up here momentarily as well. Kevin will try to convince us that tomorrow night's game is going to be a great game because it's Bears-Panthers, and not the best, certainly not the best, but, Kevin, he can make anything sound good, right? That's the beauty of a great play-by-play guy.
Is he doing it for radio?
I believe he's doing it for Westwood 1,
wow.
Yes. This week he's doing Bengals-Texans on the weekend as well.
Who's on the clock for that game tomorrow?
That's a Hayes and Company game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a Hayes and Company. Not good.
I'm okay with flexing within ourselves. Just don't even pick it.
But you can't do it on a Thursday night.
I get it.
Same thing Sunday morning. They're back in Germany. It's Patriots against the Colts. That's your game. So, and you see, there's a lot of reporting. Not a lot, but there are significant reporters on the scene in Boston who are suggesting that Belichick could be in big trouble, possibly coaching for his job in Germany. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that Bill Belichick, everything he's done, everything he's represented, it would come down to one game.
Why do you find it hard to believe, though? The glory days are over. Brady's long gone, and it's not working out.
What were the expectations this year? That would be my question.
Probably not what they are right now, what they're doing.
Yes, I think
terrible.
They thought they'd be better.
They 2-6.
Yes. 2-7, I think.
2-7, yeah.
The thing with Belichick is he's got the reputation where it's if you just give him some kind of offense, he's going to win you games with his smarts and his adjustments at the half and blah, blah, blah. But they have zero quarterbacking. Zero. But
defensively, they've been terrible. They've given up so many points.
Okay, so it's another double whammy for Billy Boy because it's look, man, we get it. There's no quarterbacking, but you can't stop it either.
No, that's the issue. And that was what he was always known for. It was Tom and company will do things offensively, but he will make the necessary adjustments to make stops. They won't have turnovers. They won't take penalties. They'll shut down the opponent's best option. These are all the well-documented, pluses of the Belichick era. And I'm not suggesting that he is safe for life. No one has that in pro sports. But the idea that if you don't beat Indianapolis in Frankfurt, you're fired. And if you win, you stay on. That's not happening with Bill Belichick. I mean, he
would get more respect from that. But I'll tell you what, once he gets off that bird at home, he could get axed. I just don't think the idea of him getting fired I don't believe it's crazy. Kevin might tell me differently.
Well, I think after the season, I don't think they're going to make him walk the plank during the season. When it's done anyway, what's the new coach going to do? What is a new coach possibly going to do? Get you to 5 wins, 6? They're done. Their season's over. They stink. Yeah. They're 2-7. It's over. They're not making the playoffs. It doesn't matter who their coach is. It doesn't matter who their quarterback is. You could fly Mahomes in, and Mahomes could play the rest of the year in New England. They're still not making the playoffs. So once you accept
There's no denying, dude. They're terrible.
They are not a very good team, and Bill Belichick has allowed it to get to this point after 20 years of the greatest dynasty in pro football history.
Don't kid yourself. Do you think he really wants to stay? Do you think he really wants to hitch his wagon to show up to training camp and training sessions? I think Mac Jones.
If he gets the Popovich scenario, yes. In other words, if they can continue to bottom out and pick first overall or close to it, and they get that Caleb Williams. That's Victor Wembanyama. Well, that's a Wemby
it could get him some life. It could give him a smile on his face like Pop. Yeah. Because Pop looked old and tired, and when they won the lottery, man, that guy looked like he was 40 years old again.
Yeah, Pop all of a sudden is spry.
He's loving it.
He's loving life.
He's loving life.
Wemby, that is the ultimate lifeline.
That's it. You can hitch your wagon to that, and you're a part of the turnaround, and you return to greatness. Not the old Hall of Fame coach that just went down in the gutter with a garbage team, and it's a brutal ending. It's one last kick at the can.
Yeah, and Pop won't be there his whole career, clearly. Wembanyama likely plays in the league for 20 years, you would think, and Pop's not going to coach for that long. But I would love to get an answer on that from Popovich or from ownership management in San Antonio. How long are you going to give this guy? Like if because it's going to work. Like it's foolproof in the NBA. If Wembanyama develops into the player we all think he will, in other words, the best player in the league and just a dominant force, they're going to win a ton of ball games. And players are going to want to go there, and they're going to want to play with Wemby. And, it's it feels foolproof for Pop and the Spurs by next season, if not the year after that, to be back in the mix as a 50-win team and, competing for championships again. But, does he just get to ride that wave until he decides he's going to walk or what? Because it is delicate. It's something we're not used to in Toronto. I guess we went through it to an extent with Nick Nurse. The only guy that's won anything at that level since Cito Gaston is Nick Nurse, and he just got walked out of town, right?
Yeah. I think it's more at the end of the season, him and Bobby Kraft sit down and, it's a state of the union and you're like, okay, I'm going to probably head in a different direction. You almost give him the dignity of saying, I'm walking away.
Right.
But
mutual decision.
Those management, like, as much as he has the relationship with Bobby Kraft, like, you don't know when there's a practice going on who's talking with Bobby Kraft. Like, there's other people that are in Kraft's ears saying, this is nonsense. Maybe it's like, it's not just him looking at Belichick on his own. Bobby Kraft has conversations with other people.
Does he? Where are those conversations? I was just going to say,
he's in a steam room in Florida in a strip mall having a conversation.
Who is Bobby Kraft's confidant? Do you want to give us any ideas? Or? Yeah. Well,
exactly.
it's a family-run business, right? Like his son.
What is?
Well,
orchids?
What's it called?
Patriots.
The Ides of Orchids? What was the name of that?
Orchids of Asia was the operation down in Florida that Bobby Kraft
allegedly.
Well, it wasn't alleged that Bob Kraft was there.
The man was in there.
Bob Kraft, he had a subscription. Yeah. Like he had a card that, Bob Kraft was in the system.
It's laminated.
Yes. Bob Kraft is familiar with the lobby.
Yeah.
At Orchids of Asia. I don't know what's happening anymore, but it's not a good scene. It's not a good scene in New England. It's not a good scene for Bill Belichick. And I think it's a worse nightmare for the NFL because, again, I think it's understood. If you're going to Germany, you're representing the league and you're selling the league. You got to sell. Right. And Belichick is going to be so miserable over there. And some German media member is going to grill him about something, and it's going to get so awkward. You know him as one of the great play-by-play guys in the business. CBS, Westwood 1, NBA and TNT. Back on OverDrive, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Here's Kevin Harlan. Do you expect Bill Belichick to be on his best behavior in Germany, Kevin?
He'll be good. He's... when I heard you guys talk, I guess.
The VIP card get you?
Yeah. I think actually, I've made this trip multiple times and done games not in Frankfurt but in London. Although I did do games for the World League when I was with Fox, and did games in Frankfurt and Munich and Amsterdam and Edinburgh and Madrid. We were all over the place, and that was great. But are they going in today or tomorrow? I'm not sure what day they're going to fly over, but they'll limit. They'll do the questions. He'll be great. He'll be terrific. He'll handle it, and he's probably anxious to get away from the Boston media, quite frankly, because they are foaming at the mouth every time to talk to him, and his responses are just classic, right? He mumbles some answer, and now I will tell you this: when we do our games with the Patriots, and we talk with them, either via Zoom or in person, he's phenomenal. Like he's great. And if you listen to his answers are about like any other. When he talks about, hey Bill, what about your quarterback position? Well, we're trying to get better, and we're going to take our practice reps this week, and we're going to make sure that he gets the right throws. I mean, he really is given the kind of information that they're probably looking for. But what he wants, what the media wants, is some kind of a sparkling, some kind of big headline. Belichick says quarterback has no brains, or whatever, right? I mean, so they're probably looking for that, but he's crafty enough that he'll work around that, and I think he'll be fine. This is something that these coaches, I know, they're just trying to figure out, what are we going to do? Like, do we have to go over there? It's an 8-hour flight, and we're going to have time change and everything else. Andy Reid just went, and he won again with Kansas City, so there is a recipe there, and I think they're going to continue to refine how they handle the trip and do all the things in between that make this such a successful overseas series for the league.
So, Kevin, what's your reaction to the headline of Belichick's in trouble, and if he doesn't get it done over there, he is in trouble? Do you think after all the time he spent in New England, all the success, although it's miserable this year, that he could be in trouble?
I just can't. I just think they've done, him and Kraft have done too much. The owner, they're so linked at the hip. Like they're connected in a way that few owners and coaches have ever been. But listen, Tom Landry was let go in Dallas. We've seen it all over the league. These legendary coaches, they for whatever reason, they wear out, or their message no longer resonates, or whatever. I think that from afar, and I'm not there every day, and I'm not at practice covering like the beat guys are and stuff, but I would say that, when Belichick was in charge of everything, when he was the cook and buying the groceries, as Bill Parcells would say, and doing all of it and kind of running the scouting department and making sure that everything that was going to happen transactionally went through him, there may have been a time in the league when that could have been done. I think it's so hard now to try to be head coach and GM. That's why you see so few of them. I mean, there's that was popular for a while in the 90s into the early 2000s, and only one guy's been able to really pull it off with any kind of aplomb, and that's been Belichick. But he's been doing it for so long, and now so few are doing it with him at that head coaching level that maybe it's a signal, we want to keep you as a coach. We love all that, but we need to bolster this other area, and we may need to hire a GM who can go out and watch these kids on Saturday where you can't do that, and can go out and look at the waiver wire every day where you're teaching guys how to block and tackle and catch the ball and practice. This other guy can be out, scouring the waiver wire or going to practices or doing whatever the GMs and personnel guys do. And they've got those guys, but not with the authority that most GMs have. Belichick holds that all in New England. So I could see maybe a shifting of his responsibilities. It just seems unfathomable for me, though, to Bob Kraft to let him go, especially midseason, which I think for a coach who's built up that kind of equity is a real disservice to the coach. To have him, a guy that's done so much historically for the league, has done as much and won as much as Belichick. When you fire midseason, that's really a slap in the face. That's a pretty hard thing to really swallow, and they're not going to go anyplace this year. What does it matter if you fire him November 15th or February 15th? I don't think it matters. So I might as well finish off the season.
Well, Kevin Harlan, and we referenced Belichick's counterpart in the NBA, which is Gregg Popovich. It's amazing how similar their runs are, like all the titles, how they interact with the media. Belichick had Brady, obviously Pop had Tim Duncan, and, San Antonio has really struggled, but then they literally won the lottery, and now Wembanyama's there, and Pop's got this new lease on life, and he's energized again. I know he's kind of fighting back on the idea that he wasn't energized the last couple of years, but it seems like that might be something Belichick needs, Kevin, is like they almost need to finish dead last, pick Caleb Williams, and hope he becomes a superstar, and maybe that's what can get him out of this, because, you cover the NBA, you've been doing it forever. Like, it feels like Pop and the Spurs, they're back all because they got Wembanyama.
That's a great. You're right on it. I mean, we just were in San Antonio about a month ago doing a preseason game, and he did have a zip in his step, and the excitement that he showed in our meeting with him about the chance to coach a player like this, a generational talent, was through the roof, and he has been blessed with Robinson, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and then he had the great players around him like Ginobili and Parker, and that is where he has been developing, is really the things around the centerpiece. Now he's got the centerpiece, and that makes San Antonio, I think, a team to certainly watch. Do I feel they'll win a championship this year? No, I think they'll be in the play-in situation like last year. I think they're going to show a lot of strides. I think this kid is going to develop. He could not have a better teacher in his head, because Popovich, and probably like Belichick, although we just don't see it as much from Bill, they've got a way of relating with these players that is unique, and a patience that maybe a younger coach would not have. And I think that's one of the great qualities. There's so few guys that have coached as deep into their lives at this level as Gregg Popovich, and Belichick the same, that you sometimes are kind of going into an area that traditionally have been, it's time that we look for a younger voice, a younger face, a younger representative. And these are the outliers, Popovich and Belichick. But you're so right, they mirror each other in what they've done, the success they've had, the longevity with which they've done it. And I think that Popovich has probably evolved a little bit, and I think Bill, maybe with a league that is slow to evolve and change the way they think, I think he might have to be faced with perhaps some of that if he wants to stay in that position. The NFL has been slow to do what the NBA has done. In other words, the NBA has gone to players recently retired. The NBA has gone to young, unnamed, unknown coaches over the years, and there's been a degree of success. Not many people knew who Nick Nurse was, by the way. When he got that Raptor job many years ago, they didn't know who he was. He was overseas coaching. He was, and look what he did. And I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that goes on in the NBA, and I think the NFL is slowly coming around to that. Whether Antonio Pierce is that answer with the Raiders, you can see that maybe the trend is to go to a younger coach who has played the game, who can relate to the players. Coaching players now is a lot different than coaching players 20 years ago. They're just different. Social media has made them different. The privilege has made them different. NIL makes them different. They're just different. And so it's the traditional ways of coaching really don't work anymore. And we saw that with Josh McDaniels with the Raiders, who tried to be a Patriot coach in Las Vegas, and it failed miserably.
With Kevin Harlan, I don't know if you've called any games with Taylor Swift in attendance. Have you done that yet, Kevin?
No, I've not. We did a Chiefs game the other day in Denver, and she was not there, and the team played. I think it was the worst game that Mahomes and the Chiefs have played probably in the last 6 years.
Right.
And she was not there, so maybe there's something to this.
I'm thinking it's possible. I'm thinking it's possible. I don't think she was in Germany, but hey, listen, they didn't look great over there either. They still found a way to get a win.
They didn't. No, they didn't. They've got an older tight end. Mm-hmm. Kelsey's 34, and they've got very little talent at wide receiver. They got some young kids they think may be good, but they're not there right now. Mahomes has never waited as long to throw in the pocket. He has never thrown for fewer air yards than he's throwing. It's dink and dunk now. There's nothing deep. There's nothing to stretch the field. He doesn't have that kind of talent anymore around him. And they spent a lot of money on his contract and a couple other players, and they're struggling because of it. And the Chiefs don't look like what they have been in the past because of it.
Well, Kevin, it's always great catching up with you. We love the insight. We love your calls, and we really appreciate you doing this today. We'll do it again down the road.
Thank you so much. Nice to be on with you. Thank you.
You got it, Kevin Harlan. Joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota, and check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. It's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com.
One of my faves, that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's awesome.
He might have had a little Pat Quinn there. Did you hear right near the end the dink and dunk? Did he say that?
Yeah, little diddly dee and diddly doos. Yeah,
he was talking.
Can't have him.
Can't have him. Can't have him.
I think he was trying to keep it together when we were talking about I think he was on the line.
Yeah, I think he heard the Bobby Kraft stuff.
Bobby Kraft having the VIP body slide card, and he didn't know how to react.
Well, at that point, you got to make a decision to either hang up and go, I'm not talking about this
That's
at all.
What I thought. I'm like, is this guy just going to say, I'm a part of the National Football League, and these three turkeys are talking about this?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
No, I don't know. I mean, listen, that's why he's one of the best in the business. He battled right through. Right? Yeah. It's never easy to do, but he's a professional. Kevin Harlan.
Well, we sometimes forget that they're on the line listening, and we'll be talking about underpants meters or something, and you've got a professional, somebody, a huge guest.
I would hang up. Line. Like if I was on the line and three guys were talking like that, I'd just say I can't.
Yeah. Like he's got a reputation to uphold.
Exactly.
So do we, technically.
Well, technically we do. Yeah, you're right. But hey, what are you going to do, man? It's spontaneous. We weren't planning on bringing up Bob Kraft
Ides of whatever it was.
Yeah,
it's just
listen, it happened.
It stemmed from Belichick.
Factual.
That's what it was. We were talking about the NFL and Belichick potentially being on thin ice. I just don't think that transaction goes.
No.
He's not. I just don't think he's fighting for his job in a one-off in Germany.
No,
I think Bobby Kraft gives him more respect than that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think at the end of the year, it's a different story, possibly, but mid-season, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. All right, Raptors in Dallas tonight. Another LeBron tweet that I found interesting.
Dude,
did you see it last night where
about Miami?
Yes, about Miami.
It's like, why? But take a break and let's get into it, because I saw it today and it drives me nuts.
Yes, he can't help himself. It's always there are too many people talking about me all the time, yet you can't help but quote tweet a story about yourself and add fuel to that fire. So we'll get into that. Gerry's percentages coming up. Darren Dreger's still to come. Leafs Ottawa tonight. Raptors in Dallas. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
You're going to want to hear this.
Gerry's percentages.
I don't love being commissioner as much as I used to. I actually love it even more.
That's the voice of a Hall of Famer.
Are you kidding? Have you been out drinking?
You're all pigeons. Filthy, filthy pigeons.
It's Gerry. Gerry.
All right, it is Gerry. It's 5:25 on a Wednesday. All right, so Gerry's percentages. Every couple of weeks we get to Gerry. Gerry's got takes. Gerry's, I'm sure, very happy with the way things are going, right, in the NHL, as he should be. And saw a recent update on valuations of franchises. You see the Leafs are worth like $2.65 billion. So
makes sense.
Wasn't it like a big deal not too long ago where it was $1 billion?
Yeah, and now it's $2.65 billion. And that just speaks to how the salary cap completely jammed the best team, the biggest markets, the richest teams, because you got to play on the same level as teams that are worth, a quarter of what you're worth. And like at $2.65 billion, you can imagine how much money they'd be willing to spend. Right, if there's no salary cap, it would be demanded. Like if you're worth that and you're making that kind of money, you're charging what you charge for tickets. You better have $150 million payroll, $200 million payroll.
Go back and take a look at what the Ilitch family. I think it's Michael Ilitch. What was his name?
Mike Ilitch. Yes.
Yeah, Mike Ilitch. Go back and take a look at what he paid for the Detroit Red Wings, and now they're worth $1.37 billion.
Right.
I want to say he paid $80 million for something ridiculous.
I'll bet you it was less than that, Noodles. I'll bet you it was less.
It was in the early '80s, and I think it was a very low amount.
Oh.
And that original six, they were kind of in some trouble, and it is an investment. The other thing that made me think of it is, isn't Larry Tannenbaum selling his? Yeah,
he just divested a percentage to a pension plan or something. Yeah, for like a couple $100 million.
Well, I think it's more than that, because if he owns part of the Leafs, part of all that, like think of the valuation of that. They're going to have to do it on that valuation or more. Like if the Leafs are worth 2.6, what are the Raptors worth? What are, everything else? Like we're looking at it probably a $10 billion operation.
It very well could be. I think he's only selling like 10% of his interest or something though, 10, 20%. And he owns like 15% of the whole thing. So it was still, it was a lot of money. I thought I saw $200 million, maybe $400 million. It was still a boatload. And JP's saying that Ilitch bought the Red Wings for $8 million.
There you go.
And that sounds right, because I remember Donald Sterling, when his whole thing was going on, he bought the Clippers for like $25 million, sold it for $2 billion. And remember the story in the 80s or 80s, I think it was, before Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys, that Trump was going to buy them. Trump was going to buy them for like $150 million. He's like, nah, it's a bad investment. Now they're worth like $10 billion. Wow. A bad investment. I'll pass.
Wow.
That one hurt. Because obviously they're worth what they're worth. But anyway, we're off the beaten path here. Let's get to Gerry. Does Gerry have some commentary and some takes? Let's fire things up here.
Lights, camera, action. That's what Gerry belted out at the start of the season because the Canadian hockey scene was looking for a blockbuster. And Gerry supplied it. That's why they call me Gerry Bruckheimer behind the scenes.
Gerry Bruckheimer. It is a blockbuster. You can't argue that, right? With all the fires that are going up throughout the Canadian hockey scene right now, it's been wild. What a script.
A lot of fires.
What a script Gerry supplied with us this season. All right, let's get to the takes.
Jack Campbell will start at least one more game for the Oilers this season.
Ooh. All right. He cleared waivers so they can call him up whenever they want to call him up.
I'm going to say 75%.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because I think he's going to go down there and the old goalie 3 weeks in, he finds his game and some guy down there is going to call up and say, this guy's had 4 shutouts in a row, so bring him back up. I don't know.
I hope for his sake.
I have
so.
no idea what the hell goes on there with that goaltending scenario. I have no idea because at the end of the day, guys, who are you going to go out and get?
Like, nobody league-wide?
Yeah, you want to go.
Nobody.
You want to go pick at the carcass. I don't even know who's in net for San Jose. Like, you want one of those?
Well,
I don't
Mackenzie
know.
Blackwood,
who's actually a good goalie, but he's the guy during COVID. Remember, he couldn't travel. I think he was not vaxxed, and he had an ankle injury.
Anyway, it's 75%. There's nobody to get. Nobody to get.
What about Halak? Like, he's on that PTO in Carolina. Wouldn't you call him up and say, forget Carolina, come out here and you'll play? Like, is that an option?
You could do that, but
he's going to play in Carolina too.
Yeah, but how many goalies do they need down there? They got Ranta, they got Anderson. Who knows when he's going to return?
Kochetkov.
Yeah. But I mean, I was just reading. If you take a look at it, Jonathan Quick and Shesterkin are both banged up. Louis Domingue, spicy pork, might get the start tomorrow.
And there's
not the best.
Not the best, but they're still winning, right?
Well, yeah, it is a league wide, but I'm just over 50% on 2 different reasons. And one is that you give him an opportunity to get his game in order. But let's not forget, this isn't all on Jack Campbell. The team in front of him not playing well. We were talking about it yesterday. I still believe there's 2 guys that have played up to their potential out of 20 that are dressing nightly. So if the team gets their act in order, the other thing you have to factor in, there might be an injury. There might be an inconsistency. There might be something else. So I'm just over 50. I'll say 53%.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Like, it's a big commitment. I would guess at some point they might buy him out. Like, that's the nuclear option at the end of the season, right? Is a buyout. He's got 3 years left on his deal. But you send him down. You hope that he resets. The market is obviously turned on him, but it's not like the market has pom-poms out for Stuart Skinner. It's not like Skinner's been very good. He hasn't been. And it may get to a point where if Campbell resets or they can't find another option anyway, or if there's injuries, I think it feels like a likely story. Like, it does. It feels like a scenario where you send him down there for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and at some point if he comes back up, you can put him right back on waivers again and send him back down. I don't even know if you have to send him back on waivers.
Well, you
probably
don't
just
if
send
he's
him
up
back down.
10 games or 28 days.
You send him right back down.
Yeah,
so
you can go. You don't
an
need
emergency thing. He comes. I know there's a cap complication, and they do get relief, $1.15 million, I believe it is, with him in the minors. But you're not signing anybody right now. You're not. And who knows if Pickard's going to be a guy that could come up and find any consistency. So I'm going to say 90%. I am. I'm going to say 90%. I'm going to say 90%. Jack Campbell plays at least one more game for the Oilers this year.
Austin Matthews will set a new personal record for goals this season. Might even sniff 70. Who knows, but what a massive sniff that would be.
That would be a massive sniff.
I do not know what the hell this guy's talking about.
That's such a weird comment.
It is.
And a massive sniff.
Creepy.
Right. It's creepy.
Might even sniff 70. Who knows, but what a massive sniff that would be.
Yes, it would be. Sniffing on 70 is a massive one. And
it is a really big sniff.
Right.
And I'm going to say 59%.
59%. Now, the Gerry's is he just has to score 61 goals, right? Not 70. 61 is a new personal record for him.
Yeah, and it's such an incredible thing, but it's also at the same time doable for this guy because when he gets hot, and it was just like the year he did score 60, it was like basically when he took the ice, you're watching, and it's like, how many is this guy getting tonight? Mm-hmm. Like, it's like Ottawa's in town, and they're not so hot right now. It's almost like the guy's getting 2 tonight.
Well,
you know what I mean? And that's not just being arrogant or confident. It's like that's just what it seems like he'll bring to the table.
Yeah, and yet when he was, throughout his career, he's not been a guy that scores in bunches like this. Like, he's not a hat trick guy. Yes, he had 4 his first game, which is incredible, but usually it's a goal a night. And occasionally it'll be a 2-goal night. The guy's got 2 hat tricks and another 2 spot. Like it's amazing what he's or does he have 3 hat tricks already? I think does he have 3 now? I've already lost track.
3. Because
he had the first 2 games. He does have 3.
He got one at Buffalo. He's got 3 hat tricks and a 2 spot, right. But then in the games in between, he hasn't scored.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Weird.
Which is kind of different from him. Like he throws 10 shots on net. He scores every game. That's what it feels like. And yet here it's in bunches. He's got 3 hat tricks. The third, we didn't mention the other night. Someone threw a bra on the ice for the hat trick against Buffalo.
I saw that.
Which I find that might be an interesting trend to start. I'm not sure that's going to continue necessarily.
No, you got some great grinder who throws his underpants on there. Is that what you're talking about?
That's different.
That guy in the yellow hoodie throws his underpants that hung out by the penalty box.
That's the danger of starting the trend, right?
Exactly.
It's one thing. Okay, that's an interesting one. That all of a sudden some guy's like, all right, you want to see something? I got something for you. It's like an octopus.
You don't want to start that.
No,
you open
don't.
that can of worms.
All right, forget I said it.
You're not getting that
Block
back.
that
Some
thought.
guy throws his giant Hanes on the ice.
All right, for Gerry, 61. I'm gonna say 35%. I'm still in the minority. I know he's had a great start. It's so hard to score 60. Like over the last 20 years, it's Ovechkin did it once, Stamkos did it once, Matthews has done it, and then last year it was McDavid and Pasta. It's so tough, and to do it multiple times. I think if he's healthy, 50's a lock, which is a crazy statement, but 50's a lock. He's the best goal scorer in the world. He has been for years. If he's healthy, I expect 55, 57. I'm just under 35% for 61, because 61 is just a monster number. Monster.
I was in that 25. I like 25%, 1 in 4 chance, but like that's still a big number considering what we're talking about. So that's where I'm at. And look at the size. Like that's they showed it. Joe from the Bridge just showed it.
Yeah, Joe from the Bridge is. I don't know if that's necessary, but if someone throws something else on the ice tonight, we got to have our eyes on that.
Just a giant pair of shallow Hal underpants out there.
Shallow.
That'd be even better. A big pair of boxers. Like.
They got to be shallow Hal, tight underpants, white underpants.
If he scores 3 tonight, it's got to happen. Yeah,
somebody's throwing their underpants.
It's got to happen. All right, Gerry.
Is...
Let's move on here as quickly as we can. Now I'm Kevin Harlan.
Joey Votto will be a Blue Jay next season. He can take the limousine he goes to Checkers with to the Dome.
Wow, I forgot about that laugh, man. Joey Votto. Wow.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I've been doing this for 10 years. When he laughed like that, it was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, that one, I wasn't sure how to react to that. I thought it was a reasonable question, and he laughed, literally laughed in our face. But how do we feel about the idea of Votto signing here in Toronto? He's a free agent. He's leaving. We all know Cincinnati, those days are behind him. He was there for 18 years, I believe, one of the great Reds of all time.
I'm going to go 60% because I think it's a great idea. And I think he could still hit.
Yeah, if he's healthy, I think he can hit. And he'll be DHing, right? That's obviously. I mean, Vladdy's playing first. That's not going to change.
Yeah, but he's a left-handed bat. Out there once in a while and play first base.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea, man. I think he can still hit. Obviously, he has to be healthy, and he's got to get his health checked out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm only saying 60% because I think it's a great idea. I have no idea, and judging by the way he reacted to you asking him if he was going down to the Dome, maybe he doesn't like the idea, but I do like it, so I'm giving it 60.
Okay.
I'm lower on this. I just, he's that interview turned me off. Like, I just don't know. Like, I think he likes kind of hiding in the abyss down there in Cincinnati. I don't know if he'd want the attention up here. He doesn't seem. Doesn't the guy go to like a chess club or something like that?
Yeah, I think I believe he is a big chess guy. I believe that is.
Yeah, I'm like 22%. It's a great idea, but I don't know if he covets to come home.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? It takes 2 to tango. I'm not sure the Jays are looking at that either. Like, the Jays need improvement here. They need improvement offensively, and I know, like, Votto, is he's 40 years old. You look at his stats last year. He hit about 200. He had an OPS of 747. He actually hit for decent power. He had 14 home runs last year. He's going to walk a fair amount. He's still got a great eye. He's not going to play a ton. So are you going to possibly waste a roster spot on a player that, like, this is a team that needs all the help they can get. They are bringing the band back, and they need to win ball games. Right. And I like the story. I don't know if he would be interested in it, like you said, Noodles, and I'm not sure if the Jays really want that either. They don't want to throw out a gratuitous, hey, this is a cool story, Joey Votto's coming home, if they don't think he can play. They can't afford to do it. So what do you say, 20? I'll say 19%. It's certainly an option. They'll talk to him. He'll listen, I'm sure. He wants to continue to play. It would be a really cool story. Really, really cool story. I'm not convinced either party is going to want to see that happen when the dust settles in the end.
All three Hughes brothers are nominated for major awards.
Okay, so you got Luke would be up for the Calder, Jack, I'm assuming, up for the Hart, and Quinn up for the Norris. We think it's going to happen. All three up for awards.
I'm going to say 70%, and I don't think that's outrageous to say 70%. When you're talking about a rookie class, who am I missing? Like, is there some studs that are...
Bedard is obviously the number one guy.
There's one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at
the kid in Anaheim, Leo Carlson. I don't even know if he's playing every night. They have a plan for him. But I'm going to say he would be in the top three. So that's the only X factor, because if Jack in Jersey gets healthy, it's just 70%. They're just too good, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, recent bias, I mean, we're 12 games in, and it would be a lock today. But health is a big factor, and you see if Luke drops off a little bit, or if Quinn or Jack takes a step back, but just finalists, not winning, I could clearly see them. Yeah, I could clearly see them in there. So I'm at 58%.
Okay, I'm lower than this because 2 out of 3 would be an incredible accomplishment. I mean, right now, if Quinn Hughes stays healthy and keeps playing like this, he'll be nominated.
That's all that comes down to, Hayes. I think, is health.
Yes,
health.
I agree. And here we are. Right. Jack Hughes is injured. Right, Hughes is out, and guess what's happened? Matthews has stepped up. Now he's got 13 goals. Kucherov's leading the league in points now. He is back. Not that he ever left. He had a great year last year, too.
He is disgusting.
You see that goal? Did you see that goal he scored 26 seconds into the game last night?
Disgusting. And the goals he had against the Leafs were the guy is a stud. And, you've got McKinnon, you've got Rantanen, you've obviously still got the guys in Edmonton who could come alive. Like, anyone sleeping on McDavid and or Draisaitl having a great final 70 games. So I don't think it's a lock Jack is nominated, especially if he's out here for a while. I think Quinn will be if he's healthy. And then Luke Hughes, you'd have to look over the list.
Well, the kid in Boston is, what is that, Potris or whatever his name is?
Yes, he's been great. He's been great. And, you got Nyes. If he plays on the top line and Nyes ends up with 60 points or something, that's going to get a lot of love. And
the guy that I was talking about at the start of the year, my guy, Luke Evangelista.
He's popping up, Noodles.
Yeah,
I'll give you credit. He's popping up, that cat.
He's tied for league leading for rookies. He's got 8 points.
Yep. So there you go.
He had a nice little sausage pass up in Edmonton a few days ago.
Right. Yeah. Well, Logan Cooley's a guy that people are focused on, obviously. And
in Arizona.
Yeah,
there's some.
Rossi kid, Minnesota.
Yeah, there's some players there. Like you say, you're right. It's not a slam dunk, but... that's all right. Maybe I should have gone a little bit lower, but I'm
low on this. What did I say, 20%? Yeah, put me down for 20.
Victor Wembanyama will be the face of the NBA for the next 15 years. Gerry's pick with Wemby will soon make the whole world forget about Tom Brady's pick with that giant. I asked the photographer to edit out my sketches, though.
Yeah, you see Brady posted a pic with Wemby? That's the guy now. Everyone needs a pic with Wemby. Everyone. Yeah. And Brady's 6'4", and he looks like he's 5'2".
Dude, I've never understood that. I don't know, man. I sat beside, you guys have seen my pic with MJ, and that's the one time I said to somebody, hey, can you take a pic? But other than that, I don't need a pic with anyone.
Well, look at in recent months, he had Messi come over where everyone needed to pick with him. Now Wemby's here. Everyone needs to pick with Wembanyama. He's in New York he's playing the Knicks at the Garden tonight. It is going to be the celebrities that are going to come out. Everyone's going to be there. Yeah, look at that picture. Like,
didn't he on his Twitter account? He photoshopped
it. A restaurant or something?
Yeah, Brady did. Yeah, Brady did. And yeah, it looks like it's at like a bodega or something though. Like it looks like it's at like a corner store.
Well, there's liquor in the background. Like I think it's at a restaurant,
high-end restaurant or something.
Well, look how he's dressed though. Wembanyama's in shorts and a hoodie.
That's how celebs dress. You can walk in anywhere with your hoodie on and a sweatpants.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, so face of the league for the next 15 years, Wemby. Are we committing to that?
100%. Oh, I am 100% committing to that. Who else? Everyone's aging out. LeBron's 40.
Yeah, like LeBron.
Steph Curry's no kid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who do you think's going to carry the league? A guy like Trae Young in Atlanta? Wrong.
Luka's a guy. Possibly.
Anthony Edwards in Minnesota?
No.
Possibly.
Yeah,
but he's not as good.
Hayes' guy, Barnes.
Scotty Barnes. Yeah, Scotty. I don't think Scotty's going to reach face of the league status, but listen.
How old is Luka though? He's only like 25.
Luka's 24. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Luka is a guy. Like he keeps playing the way he's basically averaging a triple double. I think he's averaging like 31 a night right now.
We talked about him last month.
Giannis.
Luka. I thought that Luka coming out of the bubble, he was going to win 4 MVPs in a row.
Yes. Yeah, it hasn't happened.
He's a hell of a player, though.
It hasn't happened. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're banking on this guy meeting every expectation. You mentioned Luka. There have been other guys where you're like, this is can't miss. He's going to be the greatest. And, I'm going to be high on this as well. But there's a lot of pressure on him to meet the expectation. I don't think what LeBron has done for the last 15 years, I just don't think that immediately replicates with the next guy. I just think it's very difficult to do that.
I just look at LeBron and how, LeBron is an absolute physical specimen from strength, the power that he has. Where Wembanyama, he's so thin, and I worry about, the knees, him getting banged up.
Exactly.
I don't see him playing 82 a year for 15 years. It's just where LeBron is literally an athletic freak, and I just don't see somebody replicating that.
That's where I'm at with 15 years. I'm going to go low on this. I'll say 15% because I don't LeBron is different. He's different. And yes, Wembanyama has different traits and different abilities, and he's 7'5", and he shoots threes, but he's also in San Antonio, which is, I get it, LeBron was in Cleveland, but LeBron was also an American, right? You knew of him in high school. There was more of a build-up, more there wasn't as much of an introduction. When LeBron arrived, we knew who he was. Wemby's a little bit different. 15%. 15 years is a long time. Long time. 15%. All right, there you go. Gerry's percentages. We got some Gerry's After Dark we'll get to in about an hour. Darren Dreger will join us in about 20 minutes. Battle of Ontario tonight. Leafs Ottawa. What a game. What a potential game this is tonight. I can't wait for this one. And the Raptors are in action. So we'll continue to tee up those games tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, TSN 1050's Leafs lineup. Your chance to win Leaf tickets every week all season long. Every weekday we'll announce a current or former Maple Leaf player. And on Friday, you'll have a chance to call in and name the Leaf lineup of the week. This week we're giving away tickets to see the Maple Leafs play the Panthers November 28th. Today's player, Sergei Berezin. Sergei Berezin is your player of the day. Yes.
That guy could shoot the puck.
Yeah, he had hands, man. He could shoot. Wasn't really fond of passing.
Passed it.
No, he was the biggest puck hog out there. And as a goalie, you knew he was shooting. He'd literally have somebody on the back door, and he'd be in the corner. He'd try and shoot and score from the corner.
Yeah. Passing wasn't high on his priority list.
Wasn't into it. He wasn't into it.
Not his thing. Yeah, not his thing. Passing was not his thing. That's all right. Yesterday I witnessed something, and I think everyone's seen this in different parts of society. But I went grocery shopping yesterday. I was probably in there for 20 minutes. And you know how you go up different aisles, different spots, stop. And if someone's coming in with you, you're going to run into them multiple times.
Yeah, through the aisles.
Yeah. There was a woman on her speakerphone having a conversation the whole time. 20 minutes, speaker, chat on the phone. And I saw her at least 10 times.
I can't.
It's so ignorant in public
It is.
to do that.
It's like, just stop it. Like, get
AirPods. Do
anything,
something.
or just wait till you get to the car. And it's almost like they think their combo is cool, so they belt it out a little bit louder. It's like, just knock it off.
Yeah, can't do it, man. Like, you can't. It's one thing. Like, I guess if you're walking the streets, like if you're up for a walk, maybe that's different. But when you're confined, if you're in a grocery store, if you're on an airplane, if you're on a bus, you just can't do it. There's other people stuck in there. You know,
that's what it is. Have an ounce of self-awareness.
Right.
That's what it is.
Noodles, that's the one element of life. It's gone. There's no self-awareness. Sorry.
Yeah.
Driving cars, behaving in public, it's all self-awareness. It's gone.
Yeah, it's generally thrown out the window. But yesterday was egregious.
How did people forget how to drive, man? Since COVID, it's like people can't drive anymore. It's like I passed a guy sending an email on a laptop on Kipling today. Not a phone. He had the iPad out.
Yeah, laptop
or like a laptop guy.
That's wild. I've never seen a laptop guy. I've seen a former mayor read an email.
Reading a book.
Reading a book or a document on the Gardner, I think.
How about you see it all the time? People just stopped in the middle of a busy road. They're looking at directions, and it's
that's
like, you can't
so dangerous.
You can't stop
dangerous.
there.
So dangerous. All right, final hour coming up. Darren Dreger will join us. Battle of Ontario tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.